Lesson 1. Culture and Socialization. Let us begin by defining culture. In sociology, culture is the learned and shared way of life of a group. It is transmitted socially, not genetically, and includes shared values, norms, symbols, language, and material objects. Within culture, sociologists often distinguish between high culture, which is associated with elite and exclusive products like fine art, and mass or popular culture, which features widely shared commercial or everyday forms. However, these boundaries shift over time. When street art enters a gallery, it shows that what counts as legitimate culture is historically contested and linked to power, class, and institutions. But how do we learn this culture? That happens through socialization. The nature versus nurture debate asks how much of our behavior is shaped by biology versus the social learning. Most sociologists stress that both interact, but they place a strong emphasis on the social environment. Primary socialization takes place early in life, mostly within the family and intimate care relationships, where we learn language and basic norms. As we grow, secondary socialization continues through institutions beyond the family, such as schools, peer groups, the media, and workplaces. Sometimes individuals undergo resocialization. This is the process of completely discarding previous norms and identities to learn new ones, often during major life transitions like joining the military, entering a religious order, or leaving prison. Through these ongoing stages of socialization, individuals learn to navigate the shifting cultural hierarchies of their society.
Lesson 2. Sociological Perspectives on Identity. What exactly is identity? Sociologically, identity is about how people understand who they are in relation to others, their roles, and social groups. We can distinguish between personal identity, which emphasizes an individual's unique biography and self-definition, and social identity, which stresses categorical membership, like class or gender, and how others recognize us. Identity is socially constructed. This means that even when categories feel completely natural, their meanings are actually produced historically and through social interaction, institutions, and culture. Different sociological perspectives approach this construction in various ways. From a symbolic interactionist view, thinkers like Mead and Cooley argue the self is formed primarily through social interaction. We develop our identity by taking the role of the other and through the looking-glass self, which means seeing ourselves as others see us. Functionalists look at identity and socialization differently. They emphasize that socialization integrates individuals into society by transmitting shared norms and values that promote social order and prepare people for their roles. A Marxist critique, on the other hand, argues that major institutions like schools, media, and the family act as ideological state apparatuses. According to Marxism, these institutions socialize people into accepting dominant capitalist ideologies and reproduce class inequality, ensuring people consent to capitalist relations. Ultimately, our sense of self is deeply embedded in these wider institutional and theoretical frameworks.
Lesson 3. Dimensions of Contemporary Identity. Our identities are made up of multiple intersecting dimensions. For instance, while sex refers to biological categories, gender identity is the socially learned and performed meanings of masculinity and femininity. Ethnic identity involves a shared sense of peoplehood based on cultural markers like language, customs, or ancestry myths. Similarly, national identity operates on a grander scale. Benedict Anderson describes the nation as an imagined community, because nationals feel a sense of belonging to a large group of people they will mostly never meet, sustained by media and shared symbols. Today, globalization profoundly impacts these identities. The intensified cross-border flows of media, ideas, and products can produce hybrid, cosmopolitan, or forcefully reasserted local identities. Cultural hybridity describes how people mix cultural forms, like diasporic styles or fusion media, drawing on multiple cultural repertoires. In our media-saturated world, postmodern approaches argue that people construct flexible identities through consumer choices, lifestyle, and brands. However, these lifestyle theories face criticism. Critics argue that postmodern models underestimate the structural constraints of class, gender, ethnicity, and inequality. In other words, Unequal resources and discrimination limit who can freely choose their lifestyle. While consumer culture allows for self-expression, it also drives high consumption that creates environmental risks, and true choice remains heavily restricted by underlying social structures. Lesson 4. The Family in Modern Society. The family is a central institution in society, and sociologists view it through conflicting lenses. A functionalist view, associated with Parsons, argues that the modern nuclear family performs essential functions, specifically the primary socialization of children and the emotional stabilization of adult personalities. The New Right perspective also defends the traditional married two-parent nuclear family as the ideal, arguing that family breakdown and lone parenthood cause social problems and welfare dependency. Conversely, a Marxist approach claims the family primarily serves capitalism by reproducing the next generation of labor power, absorbing worker frustration, and transmitting wealth and inheritance across generations. Feminist theories focus heavily on patriarchy, unequal power, and domestic violence. Feminists highlight the dual burden, or double shift, where women combine paid employment with a disproportionate share of unpaid domestic and care work. Today, postmodern theories emphasize diversity, individualization, and choice over any single family norm. We see vast family diversity, including lone parent, reconstituted, cohabiting, same-sex, and multi-generational households. Furthermore, rising divorce and separation rates reflect these changing expectations. Sociological explanations for higher divorce rates point to the liberalization of laws, women gaining greater economic independence in the labor market, longer life expectancies, and shifting expectations regarding personal fulfillment in marriage. Ultimately, the contemporary family is fluid and diverse, shaped by major economic, social, and legal shifts. Thanks for watching. For free practice questions, study guides, and flashcards, visit exampreprise.com. Good luck on your exam!